are kicking and chugging along. Welcome to Rise and Grind. Meghan Triplett, Jessica Benson, CJ Hurt here with you to celebrate what was a thrilling night in the NBA.
I'm cool with Team No Sleep when it means that the Grizzlies season isn't over. I wasn't ready. I'm sitting there last night. I really wasn't ready.
Yeah.
And now we don't have to deal with it. We get more basketball to be played. Grizzlies get the big win over the Spurs last night. The energy in FedEx Forum was enough to keep me up way past my bedtime, which was nice because I needed to stay up for the Lakers-Warriors game when I got home, so I needed a little bit of extra energy kick. But it was just a great night. Oh, you brought your growl towel.
Well, I wouldn't say I brought it.
Wait, I did too. I forgot to take mine out of my backpack.
I will just say I just left it in my backpack. But it was an exciting night. Potato guy can say right there. It was good to see all the towels out there at FedEx Forum. You have not seen the pictures and the footages from like Grizzlies Twitter account, our Twitter's account. I mean, it was beautiful. It was fun. It was a moment. I gotta say, like, especially because we get there early, so like walking in and like seeing them all laid out there, and you're just like, wow, this felt like, I know it's the play-in, but it just felt like a different moment. It felt like a different atmosphere. It felt like the playoffs. You felt that energy before even fans got in the building.
It was beautiful. It really was. It was like, we've obviously had a bajillion games at FedEx Forum this season, but nothing felt like last night, as it should, because it was a postseason game. So it is different, but between having all of those growl towels on the chairs leading up to the game, then having over 7,000 fans in the building last night, it really felt special.
Yeah.
And that's what this Grizzlies team needed. They came out. They looked special. First quarter, one of the most fun first quarters we've watched from this team all season long.
Yeah.
And it was wild in there. Like, it was just...
It was
loud. Pete Grizzly. Yes, it was. Yeah, and I think a part of that is because we've had so few fans. So when you start gradually increasing, no matter how many fans are in that building, it's going to feel kind of like sellout-y. And I know last night was dubbed a sellout with those 7,000 fans. And it felt that way. I can't imagine what my ears are going to bleed when we actually get a full house back next season, hopefully.
I agree with you. It was a moment, like, and especially there in the first quarter, the way the Grizzlies were able to kind of come out there and like, literally dominated everything. It was the rebound battle. I think the rebound battle was like 23-9. The second chance points, they shot 60% from the field. That first quarter was electric. I was going crazy on Twitter, I will say. I got a little too ahead of myself because we've said that we know the NBA is a game of runs, and the Spurs definitely went on a run. We cannot count out Greg Popovich's team. And in that second quarter, the Spurs went on their very own run. And I think they scored a 18-0 run against us. And then that's when it got quiet a little bit. But I think that's when the fans knew, all right, it's our time. It's our moment. The towels were in the sky. I do think the halftime concert that we had got us going. I didn't read the full press release of like what was happening at the Grizzlies game.
Idea.
So I had no idea.
No idea.
And I went back and I was like, wait, so everyone knew about this? I'm like, oh, how did I miss this? But Al Capone performed at halftime right outside FedEx Forum. They played it inside the arena, inside the bowl. So it was electric. I cannot think of any other type of words to describe just the atmosphere of that.
No, it's perfect. It was so funny because all season long for our post-game show, you normally take callers, but there aren't a ton of callers because there aren't a ton of people driving home from the Grizzlies game. And last night, Rosa and I were so thrilled to have people calling in who one guy had driven from St. Louis up for the game. Miss Betty, the legend of Miss Betty, who always calls in. She was at her first game of the year, and electric is the exact word that she used as well. And so just for the fan experience to have something to settle you in. I know, obviously, the big hope is that this team is now preparing for a long road trip, not just an additional play-in game road trip, but the hope that it goes into the first round of the playoffs. There are more games to be had at FedEx Forum. But even if, like, I'm not saying it's the thing, but if that was it, like, to be able to have that, bottle it up, drink it, take it into next season was a special thing to have. And for this Grizzlies team, like, man, Jonas Valanciunas, Dylan Brooks, Ja Morant, your guys all stepped up. Like the three most important players who you needed to go out there and perform and have big games all showed up and did that.
Yeah, JV's stat line, 23 points, 23 rebounds, just ridiculous. And the defense that Dylan Brooks played last night was on display. Another night of where you just love that Dillon Brooks intensity. I think Mike said it the other day, like whether you like Dillon or not, this is what we love about him. Like we ride for Dillon. It's because of that defense and with that grit and grind that he does bring to this group. And the players, I love they're excited about the win, but it's still business. And, Josh said, just turn the page.
Yeah, and I know it's like such a thing, and we don't need to pour on all of the respect points for Ja Morant, but to see him get out there last night as soon as the game was over, I mean, it was very quick, and he's out there getting up free throws because he went 2 of 6 at the line. Like, that was the first thing in his head, that was not okay. I can't go 2 of 6. I can't miss clutch free throws down the stretch. It could have been bad. I mean, you make the one at the end to essentially seal it, but you missed, I think, did he miss 3 in the fourth quarter alone? And so to see him back out there, that's a leader. That's leadership. We've talked about it all year, and he continues to grow in that respect too.
Yeah, but that ain't going to help. Like, Ja is, you got to breathe a little bit and not let the misses affect you. Ja's in his own head. Ja's around 70%, a little bit more than 70%, shooting free throws from the line. The issue isn't that Ja is missing couple free throws here, a couple free throws there. It is when he misses, he's going to miss a lot of them. So Ja very well could turn around next game and go 8 for 11 from the free throw line and be great. And then the next game after that, be 3 for 7 or 3 for 9 or something crazy like that because the misses affect him so much. It's a lot like trying to hold sand in your hand, right? You got to relax to do it. The tighter you squeeze, the more the sand falls out of your hand. He's just got to relax some. And not be so in his head when he misses.
Yeah, I mean, this is a young player, second year into the league, and I agree with you, CJ, that he is in his head. I'm not going to doubt that Ja can overcome that. Seeing him out there and just knowing that, hey, like it's unacceptable. He could have gone back into that locker room and celebrated and said, okay, we're on to the next. We're going to California, wherever we're going. But he came like immediately right back out and said, okay, I need to get some extra shots. So yeah. To be in that moment, you can't create that moment, in a practice. So those type of things, those type of situations, and we know Ja. We know he went probably back to his house into his film room and watched film with his dad. And we know his dad probably got on him too. And Ja has said before and over again, like when I step up to that free throw line, I got to make those shots. Those are clutch shots. And he said for that last moment when he had those 2 free throws with under a minute, he said the only thing that came to his mind was got to make the shot. He missed the first one. The fans rallied around him and were, saying his name. Ja. He makes the second one. A clutch moment. I'll be honest, I held my breath. I did. Like Lang and I said, okay. Like, that's our point guard, and I'm going to keep on trusting my point guard. But I did hold my breath. And when that shot went down the second free throw, I was like, whew.
Meditate,
whew.
Ja. Like, meditate. Do some mindfulness activity.
Goosebumps.
Where's Phil Jackson at when you need him? Where's the Zen master? Go be
what's crazy?
Zen.
He should talk to Grayson. Grayson Allen has talked over and over again about mindfulness, and like it's a practice that he does. I know that Grayson had his
maybe not
thing
talk
before.
to Grayson after last night. maybe
but no, for real. But
I know he was back.
It's look, this group, and they said it. They stay together, and regardless of the Spurs went on their run, right? The Spurs took the lead. When the Spurs took the lead, I got a little nervous. And Coach Jenkins did say, he was like, that showed our mental toughness. They weren't agitated. They stayed together in the huddle. They were still celebrating each other and like supporting each other. It wasn't the Grizzlies that we have seen in the past earlier in the season when it comes to closing out games where they seem a little discombobulated. You can tell that they're not mentally all there. That showed, especially there towards the end, especially that Kyle Anderson clutch 3, the Dillon Brooks, shot, and then the Dillon Brooks defense. To do all that, I will say you did see progression. Yes, you still want to see the consistency. You still want to see a full 48-minute basketball game. You had a 21-point lead in the first quarter. We're not forgetting all that, but I will say I was proud of how this group rallied around together, and then they showed that mental toughness.
Yeah, I was proud to see the national media take a little more notice on Jonas Valanciunas and talking about how he has been the MVP of this team this season. More national attention on Dillon Brooks. To see him go off for those 8 straight points in the fourth quarter, it's very similar to what he did for this team against the Warriors on Sunday. The only difference was he wasn't at risk of fouling out at that point in the game. And to be able to keep Dillon Brooks on the floor was critical. And he proves that time and time again. I've loved watching Grizzlies fans even ride this wave of going from the frustration of Dillon Brooks early in the season to now being so amped and being like, Dillon Brooks is our guy. Dillon Brooks is going to win us this game. Like, that's growth, and that's fun, and that's what the Grizzlies have needed from him. And you got a little bit of a splash of each of those guys last night. Could there be more? Absolutely, there could be more. And you have a really tough game coming with a rematch against the Warriors. You might want the bench to figure some things out. That is certainly something that needs to
change,
get back. It's crazy, right? Because we talked about like those last games against the Spurs, which are months ago. Totally different team. Get it. We have an entire different situation. Jaren Jackson Jr. came back. You know what it is. But that bench scored like 60-plus points in both of those wins against the Spurs back in February, whenever it was. Last night, 14 points from the bench.
We went into the fourth quarter with four bench points, And we've said it. I feel like we've said it for these last, maybe like the last 3 or 4 games in the season. We said the bench has to be there. The bench has to kind of like come back together. We saw it with one of those Kings game, with one of the victories we had with them, where you saw them groove a little bit. But that was the game Jaren Jackson Jr. was out of the lineup. Now you're seeing that, you know, with all the different rotations and the different lineups that Coach Jenkins has got his data points for, it is a matter of, you know, what is missing. Coach Jenkins did talk about that after the game and saying that we have faith in them. Yes, we're aware that we're not getting the production from our bench that we normally do, but we've told every single guy that everyone has to contribute, because as you move forward with this play-in and potential playoffs, whether it's a 1-game road trip, 3-game road trip is what we love for it to be. The bench has to figure everything back out. They got to start getting into that group, whether it's picking up the pace, moving the ball a little bit more, crashing the boards. We know that for the Grizzlies, when they're not crashing the boards, they seem miscombobulated. When JV's out of the lineup, that's when the Spurs went on their run. That's when the Spurs were getting every offensive rebound, every defensive rebound, and JV can't be the only guy that we can rely on for. Yes, we got 23 from him, so, you know, he was our hot hand from the night from when it comes to the rebounding, but for that second unit, they just haven't found their groove in these last couple of games, and it's not gonna. That's the only thing that I would say that there was no mental toughness, no improvement on. It's not gonna slide as you could move forward.
This ain't the time of the year for bench talk. Like, that role players are what role players are. Games in December are different than games in May, June with season on the line. Your studs have to come out there and play like studs. That's Jonas, that's Dillon, that's Ja. And you got that performance from there. All your bench got to do is just not mess it up so bad that your stars can't come in and carry the game for you. It's hard out there, right? The pressure is on you. DeAnthony Melton is a completely different player right now. And I'm not sure what happens or if the pressure has gotten to be too much for some of these dudes, but it is tough. And then you factor in the lineup adjustments, the fact that they hadn't had a chance to play all the way together all season long because of the Jaren injury, because of the Justice injury and the experimentation that they were doing with that. The bench is not going to be able to go out there most nights and get you 50, 60 points a game. They just aren't that.
But you see why you need something from them, because it was almost death by Rudy Gay last night. Like, it felt like you could have a situation where some former Grizz were going to take you down with Rudy Gay. Gorgie Jang had some big minutes down the stretch, and you're just like, not this, anything but this.
Because when you think about it, when I think about a championship team, it's everybody. You gotta have everybody there. Yep. Because yes, I agree with you where your stars have to step up to the line. Like, this is your moment. However, what we have seen, if you're going to be taking up against the Utah Jazz, a Jordan Clarkson, a 6-man, you know, if you got the Lakers, you got Kyle Kuzma, you got Caruso.
How about Jordan Poole in this next game?
Right. That's why it's like, and for the Grizzlies, we haven't just relied on it. It's been a big factor for us for the whole entire season. So when you remove something late in the playoffs, if you didn't rely on your bench the whole entire year, I'd be like, okay, you know, they got it going. But that has been something that we have like fed into, especially when guys have to get rest. When guys are in foul trouble, and let's be real, that's something that we get into quite often. When we are in foul trouble, we got to have someone that we can put back in there that we can rely on. So that second unit is super important. I think the championship winning team has a second unit that can contribute. And the Grizzlies, we have it. It's just a matter of, like, you know, putting the puzzle pieces back together again and fighting that groove again.
Yeah, getting their groove back is the perfect way to put it. Like,
How Stella
you
got her
have to
groove
get
back.
some rest. Job.
Don't act like y'all didn't. Don't act like when she said that no one else thought that. Oh, how Stella got her groove back.
Stella said it.
And Stella got it.
And she got it back.
Right, and
How the
Stella
Grizzlies
got
bench
it.
got their groove back. We just got to send them to Jamaica for a little bit.
Right.
Let them find something
We
cute
might have
down
to
there
burn.
and come back.
We might have to burn a house down, but it's okay. We might have to burn the house down, but it's okay.
Wait,
But-
Stella didn't burn the house
no,
down,
but the
did
house
she?
of cows caught on fire. Yeah. Remember this scene where she like. Psh,
Is that? Oh wait, now I'm mixing up my,
that's
my
Waiting
angry
to
movies.
Excel.
That's waiting to
That's
excel.
Waiting to Excel.
No,
You're
she
right.
burned that
You're
man's
right.
car with his clothes in it.
That's right.
That was a good ass scene right there, boy.
How about we combine both movies? Let's combine them
Don't
both.
go to
How
Jamaica
about we
and
combine
burn
whatever
clothes?
it takes for the Grizzlies
Yeah.
bench to do a little something
Yeah,
down the line?
we are the
because
road warriors, and
it'd
we're
be
going on the
great.
road. How
We
about
are the road
yes,
warriors.
Hey, you never know what you got to do. Bring all the weapons that you can, and that includes the bench. So that is the key.
They
Listen,
have to rest eventually. That was just the point. Like, John
Yeah.
Morant played 41 minutes last night, and you know he wanted to play every single one of those minutes. And at
Yeah.
the start of the fourth quarter, what did he do? Started on the bench. Tyus Jones comes in, and shout out to Tyus Jones because he did make a big three, and he made a little floater as well. And so you got some quality short minutes from Tyus Jones. Get John Morant back in there, finish out the game. It's
and
what
when
you gotta
Tyus
do.
came in there for the longer periods of moments, it was like, whoa, Tyus, right? So
It's postseason, dog. Your stars got to play 40 plus minutes, man. That's just what it is right now, and that this is a part of that learning process that we've been so desperate for this young team to go through. This is the difference because in the regular season, no, Tyus is out there and he's got to play through it. In the regular season, Brandon Clark or DeAnthony Melton or Grayson Allen, they're going to be out there and you've got to figure it out. In the postseason, there is none of that. If you don't get it immediately coming off the bench, you're just not going to be able to play.
But like when in that fourth quarter, if those are a limited amount of minutes for the bench players in that fourth quarter, what did Tyus do? He had a three. He had has a little floater, and the Spurs call a timeout because they knew the Grizzlies are getting things going, and Tyus, and that's what you need from a bench, and that's why it's great. You might get 7-8 minutes, but when you do come in, make a moment to have your players sit out for 2 or 3 minutes and still find it. The Warriors, Steph Curry came out last night. What happened? So we'll talk about that a little bit more. We'll get to some more Grizzlies sound, but first we're going to have Rob Fisher join us here in a bit. We'll be right back after the break.